name is Carmen Bowman, and I'm with Edu-Catering, catering education for compliance and culture change. And thank you for joining me for part of what I call a series, Proactive Practices to Prevent Falls. And the topic at hand in this video is what I call proactively checking in with residents. It's kind of a long way of saying a word that I'm actually trying to avoid. And I'm wondering if you know what word that might be. You know, the word rounding actually is a hospital word. It's actually a ranching and farming word. And this is one grand opportunity that we have to avoid using that kind of word. And because language has power, it's also a wonderful opportunity to use the words that help you create a new way, a new path, a new approach, a new culture. And so I've just learned over the years that you're going to take a breath and you're going to say a word. And that word can just keep perpetuating hospital or institution, or it can start to create a new culture. So that's why I do use all these words. You can do whatever you want. But every time you say proactive or proactively, you remind everyone to be proactive. It's wonderful. It's like a freebie, you know? And then checking in with, I'd like you to notice that language that is chosen on purpose. What is not being said? We're not saying checking on residents. Now, if you do, it's fine. But I've just learned from leaders, teachers in the culture change movement, that even the language of checking on someone implies that we're in charge of you. And we all know that people who live in nursing homes are adults. They've lived their lives, their whole adult lives. They don't like to be treated as children. So this is another opportunity to use language to say what you really mean and to teach people as you say it that we check in with people who live here because they're adults. We don't even check on them. So it's a subtle thing, but I invite you to try using it if you like it. So, where do most falls take place in your community? Notice I'm not saying facility. In the movement, we're trying to get rid of that institutional word. So in the home you represent, nursing home or assisted living, where do most falls take place for the people who live there? And typically what people have told me over the years really is that most falls take place in a person's room. So let's think about why that is. And, you know, there are many reasons. First of all, it's a different question, but what causes most falls tends to be the bathroom. And that's in another one of our videos. We go after anticipating needs, particularly bathroom needs, by all team members, not just nursing. And then we want to point out that, you know, aside from the bathroom, we want you to think about if most falls take place in the room. Let's keep bathroom aside and think about what now comes to the top and tends to create most falls. You know, it could be lots of reasons, certainly. However, one main reason we've learned is sometimes boredom. We're going to deal with that in a subsequent training. I call it going after meaningful engagement to help prevent falls. And we'll talk about that again here. We just aren't dedicating the whole time to that today. And in general, you know, it kind of has to do with people being adults again, independent. Someone I worked with, she was an MDS coordinator in a reducing falls project. Jeannie Evans said, many don't want other people to know that they even need help. And if you dig into that, which I did, and I asked her, why is that? And Jeannie said, well, you know, it's humiliating when you can't do something for yourself. We've been independent our whole lives. Now we have to wait for someone. We don't like to admit that we need help. Oh my goodness, that independent spirit, right? And then that in and of itself can lead to depression. And now add to that a lot of sitting. Like, first of all, there's a lot of sitting. And second of all, now you're sitting to wait for people to help you. And, you know, we all know this happens. No, maybe nobody comes. and therefore I'll just get up and do it myself. And sadly, many people end up falling. So something to think about is this independent spirit, people wanting to do for themselves and certainly forgetting if they can't, which brings us to our topic at hand, that we're going to go into people's rooms, we're going to knock more often, and we're going to start proactively asking people what they might need. In fact, if you've been watching the series, early on we talk a lot about the differences and what's caused us to be so reactive. So on that note, think about the call light. The call light in and of itself, when the call light goes on, then we go. That is reactive. And we are promoting in the series, what if we all became proactive? I want to show you a few things that add to this thinking. This is actually a lawyer and a nurse speaking in this quote. Now it's a while ago, moving away from alarms, and I hope your team no longer uses bed and chair alarms. But he is starting to say what we're saying. Alan Horowitz, not all falls are avoidable. Some people will continue to fall with and without alarms and in spite of our best interests. However, therefore, for those people, an anticipatory approach is recommended. Aha! Again, we dealt with that the whole last session, moving towards anticipatory care and moving towards proactive checking in with people. We had fun talking about what causes us to want to even give a great tip when we're out to eat. And most people say good service, right? But if you talk about what is good service, you could you could pause and talk about that. What is good service? How might you define it? And guess what? I think it kind of boils down to anticipating my needs. So if I'm drinking coffee, that means you come around and warm up my cup without me having to ask, right? Or I just think of like, if you got fries, someone brings the ketchup with the fries, so you don't have to ask for them to go back and get it. And so what if we apply this approach? We are more anticipatory and more proactive, and we don't wait for people to ask for help. Isn't that fun? And the whole reason people live there is to ask for help. But you could look at it this way. The whole reason they live there is because they need help. And therefore, we all could get better and better at being more proactive. And that's what this whole video is now about. I also want to show you in several of the regulations where this kind of talk is included. So under nursing services, tag 725, it's just one of many comments in the guidance, but check this out. Our residents who are unable to use call bells or otherwise communicate their needs checked frequently. Aha. For example, each half hour. Aha. Let that be your goal. I don't know if you can do it right this minute, but it certainly is a good goal, right? For what? For safety, for comfort, for bathroom needs, for positioning, for fluids, and any other provisions of care. So now we're trying to get at certainly what anyone needs at any time. And oftentimes these needs can be linked to preventing a fall. Then we move to tag 561, self-determination. I just want to hone in on this wonderful phrasing. Residents also have the right to choose healthcare schedules. Boom. Consistent with their interests and their preferences. Information should be gathered to what? Proactively assist residents with the fulfillment of their choices. Wow. CMS in the regs as of 2016 starts to use the word proactive. Similarly, it says that nursing homes must not develop a schedule for care such as waking or bathing for staff convenience and without the input of the residents. Whoa, did you know that? Wow, we are not supposed to create schedules around staffing or around the institutional schedule, but instead for the people who live there and with their input. Next we have tag 689, accidents. So this is the big requirement to try to prevent accidents. That's big. I know it's hard. A lot can happen here. Your home must ensure resident environment remains free of accident hazards as possible. Each person receives adequate supervision and assistance to prevent accidents. And then, look at this, an effective system not only proactively identifies environmental hazards and a person's risk for an avoidable accident, but also evaluates residents' need for supervision. So I'm really having fun finding the word proactive in the regs and guidance and showing it to you. Moving on, still at accidents, some more of it comes. Individual nursing home efforts to reduce use of alarms have shown falls actually decrease when alarms are eliminated and replaced. So please hear that, when alarms are replaced with other approaches such as purposeful checks to proactively address resident needs. Boom, what we're talking about here. Adjusting staff to cover times of day when most falls occur. Wise thinking. Also assessing resident routines. Absolutely. Making an individualized environmental or care changes that suit each person. That's a beautiful word, don't you think? If that was you living there, wouldn't you love it if people rearrange things to suit you and your needs? Beautiful. So that purposeful checks to proactively address resident needs is in the regs. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next video.